big tech companies are conspiring to make you lose your focus. So who am I? My name's Gray. I make consistently six figures in digital marketing annually. I live in Vancouver, Canada. I own my own place, paid for my car in cash and stuff. Got a puppy. And I put like 20,000 hours into my hobby. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this today is because I think there's a lot, like very little attention being paid to how much our attention spans are being commodified and being manipulated by big companies. Now, obviously, this has been discussed a lot in the media, but I think there should actually be more attention paid to it because I think we've been systematically stripped of our ability to maintain our attention spans. I know even myself, I'm a college educated guy. I make a decent amount of money. I'd like to say I'm quite educated. I even found myself falling for the algorithm a lot. My biggest weakness is Instagram Reels. And I think TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat, every single company that's out there, they're just trying to keep you on their platform for as long as possible. Now, I think we've normalized this in our society a lot. I think everybody's just kind of accepted that, hey, you know what, your attention span, yeah, it's valuable, but that's what's up for grabs. I think Bo Burnham, really good comedian, he was talking about this a while ago about how we live in a world where there's no more land to discover, right? Everything's been discovered. The only remaining area to colonize, if you're a company or a country, is in the mind, right? That's the only real estate that they don't have, especially nowadays as real estate has completely priced out an entire generation, and it's going to be even worse for Gen Z. It's going to be even worse for Gen Alpha. So all we have is our attention span. So it's being systematically stripped away, right? Because this is just the remaining real estate that these big tech companies have to commodify. Because we do live in a world of like hyper capitalism, right? No matter what you say, like I live in Canada, it's still a hyper capitalistic society. And I'm not anti-capitalist at all. I'm just saying that the system is maturing to a point where everything you do can be sold, bought on the open market. That's why data protection is such a big issue, right? So I think what's important is you have to try to preserve your attention spans. And there's a lot of ways that you can do this. Like number one is, it's gonna sound weird, watch movies from beginning to end. Like, don't fall for that second screen bullshit. Like, I don't know if you've heard of this, but a lot of the streamers like Netflix, Disney Plus, they now make movies exclusively as second screen content. So what that means is they expect you to go on your phone while the movie's going on. There's going to be little lulls, right? So they try to keep the plot line very loose because they fully expect people to be half paying attention to the plot. Now, personally, I think this is super dark. I'm a bit of a purist like that. Like, I like the idea of, when you're watching something, you're fully escaping, right? Because like I work remotely, I want to get the hell away from my phone when I'm watching TV or a movie, and I know a lot of people out there are like that. So to me, the whole idea of second screen content is offensive. So my challenge to you is just watch a movie from beginning to end. Now, I know we live in a world where you can pause, blah blah blah, get up, go pee, go get some food or whatever. I'm not really counting that. I'm just counting like, oh, it's it's a heavy dialogue session for like 5 minutes. I'm just gonna go on my phone. See if you just can. See if you can just sit back and watch a 90 to 120 minute movie, like just just until from front to back. If you can do that, that's a good thing. Number two, if you can still read even for like 20 minutes a day, that's a good thing. I find that I struggle to do this, but I actually think the biggest reason I do that is because the books I'm reading, I'm just not that interested in a lot. Like, if I'm not really invested in something, then I'm not gonna, spend a lot of time to like lay down on my couch and read it. So my biggest, I guess, two challenges there. You got to find stuff that interests you, and to be honest, it's not that hard to find good stuff. Like Amazon at first was a big book sales company. You can still go on there. Books ain't that expensive, buddies. Spend like $30 on a good book. I think most people probably that are watching this will know that when you're in a good book, holy shit, there are very few things that will keep you away from it. It's a gift to really be reading a book that really grips you. The last one I did um, was the Three Body Problem. Much better than the series. Netflix series is okay, but yeah, if you can't read anymore, you're pretty much screwed because um, the algorithm is stripping away our ability to really tell stories and tell comprehensive stories. Because I think it's systematically also taking away our ability to understand the full scope of things, right? Because of the bite-sized content that we're getting, 5 to 30 second um, stories, it doesn't tell the truth at all, right? Because like I know when I go on Instagram Reel, I look at the comments even before I'm done consuming the video, which is like kind of insane when you think about it. And I think most people do that, right? You just because the comments have become part of the content. Um, and so my challenge to you would be try to see the full picture, right? You can still go to the news. I don't know if you have any thoughts, but like maybe the news is corrupt, maybe it's not. Every news source is either left or right leaning, but that's by design, right? Because news sources have to make money. They've realized that if they just cater to specific groups, then they can really get more money out of those diehards rather than trying to appeal to anybody, everybody. And then they've proven that that business model doesn't work. That is one of the functions. That's why the news media is so vitriolic nowadays. It's because of the fact that they live in the world of trying to make money, right? Same with the tech companies. That's why the stuff that goes the most viral is the most inflammatory, the most partisan, the most one camp or the other camp, right? There's nothing in the middle anymore. Because that stuff just doesn't work. Like if you're gonna play it safe, like just nothing's gonna happen. Like with this video, like I'm not gonna make a claim about like, hey, you should quit social media or anything. I'm just basically saying like, be mindful of the fact that moving forward, things like artificial intelligence are gonna make it much more difficult for you to be in charge of your attention span. And what is this a slippery slope towards? Basically mind control. A little bit, right? Because if you aren't able to filter information in a way or like say like, hey, you have to get work done, but your phone is just so good at keeping you on it. As we all know, the tech companies want you on your phone pretty much 24/7. If they're going to be using more sophisticated AI models to map your behavior and figure out what kind of content you want to see, it's going to be harder and harder to pull yourself away from the phone because that tech is only going to get smarter and smarter, right? So people who spend more than half an hour on TikTok a day, I kind of think you might be mentally ill. Like personally, like my average Instagram session is 10 minutes. I almost feel like I'm gonna throw up by the end of it. Maybe I'm soft. I don't know. But like I talked to some people. They're like, I spent 3 hours on TikTok today. Like, don't fucking do that. Like what? Like, don't do that. Like I know. Okay, you get home from work, you're tired. Do anything else. Like even like playing a video game is gonna be a lot better for you than going on TikTok. Like the tech companies, they do not give a shit about your mental health, right? We live in this era of like, oh, mental health crisis. Like, yes, take medication. Personally, I take a little bit of medication just for anxiety and depression, and I think it's helped me. I take a small amount, like 10 milligrams a day, but behavioral changes will like they'll also help you. You have to do both. You can't just rely on like a pill to save you. You have to do both, right? Maybe take a pill and get some exercise, make some lifestyle changes that will actually work in tandem with the medication. So just taking this all back here, your attention span is you, right? If you can control your attention span, you'll have a lot of success in life. If you let the tech companies strip it away until it's nothing, until it's ground to a pulp where they can basically control your mind, oh, like at any second, what are you going to do? You're probably going to be screwed going forward. You're probably not going to have any success in your career. You're probably going to suffer from major mental health issues. You're probably going to suffer kind of in some similar ways to like a heroin addict, where if you don't get that fix from your phone, you're probably going to go through like withdrawal symptoms going forward, especially as the VR revolution takes full swing, because I think AI is really going to help with that. That's going to be like the new drug, right? Eventually some governments, I think, will step in and be like, hey, like this can't happen. But that remains to be seen, right? Because it's things like alcohol is legal, it's controlled. I think stuff like highly sophisticated VR powered by AI will be like that, right? So train your mind, do what you can to maintain your attention span. I actually think Gen Zs are quite good at this. I think a lot of people shit on them all the time. I actually, have met a lot just through family and stuff. I've worked with them. I've coached kids sports. They're actually very well adjusted for the most part, right? So don't believe a narrative that this is the laziest, worst attention span generation. They're pretty with it, just like any other generation. Anyway, thanks for talking to me or letting me talk to you. Yeah, take my advice. Don't, whatever. I'm going to keep posting videos. Love y'all. Bye.